So the light body materials have offered a very well-defined progression of development um, in order to prepare the body for this dramatic change that is taking place and that is about to take place. Um, it gives us the opportunity, as I said, to consciously connect to these elements of our system, meaning our physical systems and our um, energy systems that are developing, and stimulate that development, and to be aware of that development and what that development creates. It creates challenges, but it also creates opportunities. It creates and it offers a new way to experience our lives and to enjoy our lives. And that's something that's very inspiring to me. This is a time. There's a period of time right now where this all is accelerating. And regardless of what we see going on in the physical world around us, and that's something that I like to talk about, there's something internal taking place which is much, much greater, much more dynamic. And that is the transformation of the human system, meaning the human body, which includes the organs, which includes the chemistry, which even includes the anatomy, and the energy system, which is also changing at this time. As an example, I'm sure everyone that's viewing this live stream knows about the chakra system. It's energy centers, front and back, and they're very consistently defined in so many books. And at this time, the chakra system is changing. The nature of the chakras, even the location of the chakras, is changing in order to accommodate this great transformation of who we are as beings. So that's another aspect that we're looking, that we want to address and we want to share. And as we interact with those ideas, with that understanding, when we're in touch with it, it causes it to accelerate. And it creates what we could call a network effect. And that network effect has automatic checks and balances. I've talked about this in a lot of my previous classes and seminars, and something that we will surely get to in these live streams. At any time while I'm talking, please feel free to ask a question, and we can go into a discussion about whatever questions you're asking, whatever you're offering to me. So the other thing is, how can we utilize these changes? So being aware of them, understanding how they take place, but then utilizing the capacity that they offer to us. There's some of the things that I put here on the blackboard, especially down here. Well, not especially down here. We start here with personal health. That these practices, and these are not, I'll just say, pressure type practices where it's something very strict. It's very, in a way, easygoing. And as you do these practices or you work with the light body techniques, it's something you look forward to. It's something that you enjoy. And that's from personal experience, at different points of life where I had an exercise system that I was working with. And I felt like I had to do it. I had to keep up with it. And I could feel that there were good things about it. And sometimes it felt like it became like a burden. And it in a way, started to get as an obstacle to other things that I wanted to do. And so then I would just discard that and just do the things I wanted to do, which may not necessarily have been a good balance. So this is not a practice that it's like it's a very easygoing practice. And what happens is, as you work with it, you look forward to it, and you realize that it's giving you a lot of enjoyment. On the more strict side of it, or well, you say that it affects our personal health. It affects our physical, emotional, psychological, in spiritual health. It's compatible with all systems because it doesn't offer a doctrine. It just offers enhancement, vibrationally, energetically. It offers kind of a positive and balanced way of perceiving what's going on around us. And physically, the physical changes. First of all, when we work with these practices, it consistently and deeply affects what we call the parasympathetic nervous system. And the parasympathetic nervous system is the part of this autonomic nervous system that is in charge of regeneration. It rebuilds our energy, our cells, and it causes the body to create balance, homeostasis. The other part, the counterpart to the parasympathetic, is what now is called just the sympathetic nervous system. Previously was called the orthosympathetic. Ortho meaning surface, parasympathetic meaning para deep nervous system. And I think most people are aware that we live in a hypersympathetic or hyper-orthosympathetic world. And that has been exacerbated greatly in the last period of time with screens, with looking at screens, with the internet, with scrolling, which is like an addiction. And all addictive things, in a way, are hypersympathetic. It fragments, it breaks down, it takes us away from being able to perceive things more holistically as a whole, the inner connectedness of things. So as we go more into this sympathetic nature of how the world is taking society right now, then the more we lose track of, the more we lose our connection to the wholeness. Like simple things that seem somehow like no-brainers, like that the environment affects how we feel, the physical environment, the water we drink, the air that we breathe. I mean, I'll just say that to me, it just seems like unbelievable that anyone would think that that doesn't matter. And there's many people that think that it doesn't matter and continue to do things, create things at different levels of our social structure that destroy the water, destroy the air, destroy the soil. Anyway, so as we create through this parasympathetic stimulation more homeostasis, rebuilding our energy system, and we also start to have kind of a subconscious and subliminal input to what goes on around us that creates more consciousness of the wholeness of and the connectedness of what's going on in our lives. Do you have any questions? So maybe some of the questions that were sent in. So I'm going to take a question, and again, really hoping that you'll offer some questions as well for those that are watching us. This Light Body Live is not really meant to be like a lecture or like a class. We'll do things, we'll introduce things. It's also, to listen to the experiences that you're having, some of the challenges possibly, and how we can use the light body type materials, practices to solve some of those and to reorient some of the factors that are creating the challenges and friction in our lives.
I'm Lynn Goodman behind the camera, so I'm going to read out some questions that people have sent. A lot of people on the stream are probably people who have already studied somewhat your work, so someone was asking, what kind of new things are you introducing?
Well, that's definitely an interesting question. The light body work started somewhere. Well, it's hard to say where, but we could say like way back in the 1980s. Actually before, but I'll start there in the 80s. And it went through also a progression of development. And the thing that's consistent about the light body work that we're doing is that it creates a foundation, and then it adds to that, and then it synthesizes with the foundation, and then it adds, it offers new ideas, and synthesizes again. So there's always new elements that are coming out. And as we work with these new elements, they're also presented in a way that connects them and integrates them, what's been there before. And what's been there before is important because it's foundation, and it gives the body mind a way to take in new information. And when I say information, not necessarily conceptual information, because intuitive information functions at a higher frequency, so to speak. So we have to have a circuitry, which is our physical and energetic body, which are becoming more and more one, not separated. And through developing the foundation practices, we have a circuitry that can progressively handle higher frequency information, energies that are coming in. In this case, energy is information. Energy is information. So what people usually call intuitive means that it's like, in a way, pre-conceptual. But just because it's pre-conceptual doesn't mean that it's lesser than conceptual. Actually, this is a shift of our thinking, and our understanding is that it's actually greater than conceptual. It carries much more connectedness. And as soon as we conceptualize it, that's another activity that creates separation, dialectics, opposites. So if we go beyond intuition, we have another higher frequency plane that you could call impression. And usually in our conceptual way of thinking, impressions are unformed ideas. But in fact, impressions are much more complete. Like the saying we have, a picture is 1,000 words. But you could say an impression is 1,000,000 pictures. And so what happens is, sorry, I have an itch on my nose, that those impressions, high frequency vibrations, they do what's called stepping down. And there we have like a kind of a picture, but that picture has kind of like a sensation in our vibrational body. It's not emotion, it's not tactile, but it's a sensation that occurs in the vibrational body. And so then it's like intuitive. And from intuitive, it steps down further into a place where our conceptual mind can arrange it, somewhat distilling it, somewhat making it into another dialectic or separation. But it's something that the mind can grasp onto and start to arrange into an understanding. So, it's like a flip of how we perceive information. So the new things that are coming in are all the previous things being synthesized and then taking us to the next step, of which is actually development. Each step has been a development of an aspect of the light body. Now, the light body is a mature form. And before we have that mature form, we have, like kind of an infantile form, which we call the outer body. And that outer body already has undeveloped components. And as we develop the light body, those components become more and more developed. And so at a certain point, and we'll get to that understanding is in some of our previous seminars and classes, but that there is kind of a synchrony of events that do take place, that are taking place, that then give birth. It's a birthing process to the light body. So we are, many of us, and I think anyone that's even interested in listening to this is in the birthing process of the light body. And in the earlier classes, we work with developing the more basic body, which is the outer body, the chakras, the very basic flow of the kundalini channels, and also how they work together. Another unique component that's been offered to the light body work is the work with the cranial rhythm, which is, in a way, the cranial rhythm, the word cranial is a reference point, but it's also not totally accurate because it is a body rhythm, because the cranial rhythm moves throughout the whole body, from the structural to the joints to the muscles to the organs to all layers of the outer body, chakras. So it's a very pervasive movement that has a lot to do with how our energy system interacts. So that we're offering new things all the time.
You mentioned specifically something that the chakras themselves are changing.
Yes.
Could you say more about that?
Well, if we look in the books, there's, like I said, a pretty consistent, I would just say, picture of how the chakras are in accord with the physical body. And first of all, the the chakra is the vibration of the chakra is more centered in the vibration of the etheric body. So it's higher frequency than the physical body. It descends into the physical body and feeds energy to the physical body. The physical body takes that energy and processes it for various levels of activity, from physical, meaning organic, systemic, strength activities, movement, thinking, how we perceive around us. So that's how the chakras, but the physical body is becoming more flexible and more liquid for many of us, even though there's also a large part of our society through the lifestyle where the physical body is becoming more rigid, and therefore the interaction with the energy body is becoming more dislocated. And one of the things that challenges us and moves awakening consciousness toward these practices is the need to reconnect the energy body, the physical body, with the energy body, of which a lot of times the chakra is working as an intermediary. That's just a very basic level of how the chakra is working. But as the system is developing further, there are aspects of the chakras that we become aware of that are being revealed. As an example, the heart chakra is usually the fourth chakra. But what we find is that there is a bifurcated heart chakra, and there's a male and female aspect. And that female aspect has been veiled. And now it's becoming unveiled. And as the whole light body development continues, the male and female aspect of the heart chakra will synthesize. Also, the crown chakra and the root chakra are becoming more and more influenced by higher level chakras. There is one that I refer to as the soul star that's above, and a mirror image of that, which is the ground star. And those are chakras that are centered in a higher frequency body or soul body that then gathers energy and then moves that energy to the crown and the root and through this core channel that we have of the system. And so that core channel is also being activated, going from more like a low level frequency to more almost like a nuclear frequency, and developing our system to the point where we want to utilize it that way will serve as a vehicle for moving in higher dimensions.
From Austria asked, is the opening of the central channel activating the light body? So Kurt's a Shintai body worker, and the central channel is part of Soul's Shintai work. So that's where that question's coming from.
Yeah, I mean, yes, the answer is yes, and it's a two-way street. So opening the central channel activates, what was the second one he said? Yeah, it activates the light body, and the light body awakening and birthing also opens the central channel. And that opening sometimes has been so blocked through our conditioning and our beliefs and our stress that at least it will push us oftentimes to something that will help us open it. So a lot of therapeutics have been working that way. Now, it can happen from doing yoga, from Tai Chi, Qigong, and a lot of times that doesn't give enough impetus. So what we find is that it pushes a person through the discomfort it causes, where one process, like light body maturity, light body birth, but this can't, it's like a child having a hard time coming through the birthing canal. So it will cause us to seek like a therapy, like body work, like craniosacral work, or like Shintai work, as an external way to give us a little bit of a help with the opening. So the other thing is that we may have two central channels, and the central channel that I personally was teaching as part of the Shintai therapy was a central part of the spinal canal. Whereas if we go right up the center of the body from the crown to the root, we could say that this is another central channel. And at a certain point, they will also synthesize and become one channel. And there's also already crossing over that goes on. And one of the facilitators of that is the chakras, and the other facilitator is the meridian system. And thanks for that question, and I hope that you have more.
Somebody had written in before the live stream asking about the relationship between meridians and the chakras.
Okay, well, the meridians play a very important part in the light body birthing, the light body creation. For one, the meridians at a deep internal level flow in and out of the chakras. So as you start to work with the chakras, you may notice these inflows and these outflows. We'll cover that in future classes. For now, if you're not familiar with the acupuncture meridians, which also is a set of set pathways of energy flow, which also have more variation than a lot of the books will indicate. But if you're not familiar with that system, what you can do is just don't really struggle to, find them. But while you're working with chakras or the outer body, you may notice that there's something happening in your extremities, like your arms and legs, and that somehow working with the chakras, but there seems to be something flowing in from the extremities and then flowing back out. So you don't have to worry about where exactly should they be, only that this feeling of flowing in and flowing out. And there is something that we can do today. We can do a process with that. So I'll get to that when in a little while. And I didn't plan on that, but one of the things with this light body live stream is that I'm going to plan as little as possible and make it as much as possible an interactive community type activity, so that we're co-stimulating and creating a network effect around these light body frequencies. And what are those frequencies? That's another topic that or that we will consistently tap into to understand. Did I answer the question?
You have written on the board world environment. In what way does working with our own energy alignment affect the world environment? So many people in the natural healing and consciousness community, I think, feel disempowered or a lack of direction or even belief that they could enact change in the wider world environment. And this is a main part of your light body work. I was wondering if you could say a little more about that.
Yeah. The first thing I would like to encourage everyone to do is not to do, actually, is let the world events drain your energy. And if it is, then maybe zoom out a little bit, step back. Because many people that are interested in this type of light body work and development are not going to go protest with a sign. They're not going to get out on the street. They're not going to get into hostile dialogue with people that look at things differently than you do. Like those people that are not concerned about the destruction of the environment, the inhumane treatment of groups of people, on and on. We all know these issues. And they disempower us, but they drain our energy, which is even more crucial, because the more we can maintain our own energy system and grow it, the more we have leverage from another level. Leverage means you get more input with less output. Leveraging, I think everybody knows what that means. And for those people that, for us, I'm going to use that word, us, we have more power to influence things by expanding our frequencies, raising consciousness, and injecting that. In other words, you have newspapers, they have opinions. You have talk shows, they have opinions. Well, you have an opinion too, and that's what you leverage into the grid, the global brain, and then it starts to take hold. The other thing is, as consciousness is expanding, you have a network effect. And you also have something that's been referred to as the 100th monkey effect. And that 100th monkey is a great story about researchers, Japanese researchers. And they were studying monkeys on these different islands, behavioral habits, whatever. And so they started to feed them potatoes. They threw them out on the beach, and the monkeys would take the potatoes. And they noticed that at a certain point, maybe one or two of the monkeys would take the potato but wash it off because it had sand on it. And after a while, more and more monkeys started to wash their potatoes until they were all washing the potatoes. But they noticed that the monkeys on another island that didn't have contact with the first group of monkeys also started to collectively wash their potatoes. So it shows us that when consciousness is expanding, that it hits what's called critical mass. And when that critical mass happens, then everyone gets that idea or input. Originally, it was thought, and this was more research that was done by, I don't remember the organization, what meditation, the Maharishi, but there was a name for that organization. Transcendental Meditation Organization. And they were saying that it would take 1% of the world community to raise consciousness for the whole planet, to raise consciousness. Well, now they've revised that and said 1% of 1%. That's like a lot less people that are on Facebook. So, when we're feeling like maybe down, getting drawn into the hostilities, step back, because it's taking your power to transform that. And one last thing is that a very important principle in holistic healing is what's called discharging. And that is when we have an illness or an imbalance, when we heal that, it leaves the body. And when it leaves the body, the symptoms can become worse. They do become much worse sometimes. And I feel, it's my perception that this is what we're experiencing on planet Earth right now, is that there's discharge, that there's deep transformation, deep healing, and all the sickness is coming to the surface. And so if we can zoom out, change our perception, maintain and build our energy, realize that we have this ability to input to the global grid, then we take the high ground and maintain our power.
Two questions came in. One was the microcosmic orbit and how you tie that into this system.
The microcosmic orbit is a very valuable way to work with your energy, and it also has a parasympathetic effect. It also teaches people how to manage their chi. So I'm very, it's very compatible with the light body work. With the light body materials, we're working with very specific ideas of how to connect to chakras and know that it's a conscious connection, that you're now managing the chakras, how to adjust imbalances of those chakras, and ultimately how to utilize the unique nature of the chakras to create various effects, physical and such, in our lives. As an example, adjustment of the chakra can have very beneficial results on our relationships. And that's like long-term, but also in real time. We can adjust the chakra and reduce friction if it's happening in a interaction with family, friends, business. We can adjust that so that when we adjust it, it creates like a harmonic wave in the dialogue. And when that happens, it creates communication. And communication leads to harmony.
And one of the things that's always fascinated me about this body of work is how we develop different components like chakras, kundalini channel, the nervous system, the meridians, but then also look for synthesis and coordination between those aspects, and like the microcosmic orbit, so it becomes a coordinated system. And in a way that is connected to Kurt had asked a little more. He was confused about your use of the terms outer body and then light body. And in a way, this is like you're using different terms as the system complexifies and coordinates into a more mature vehicle.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's like an infant in the womb. It moves, and there's been different speculations about what state of being that it's in. So, but it can't really hold something. It can't play a musical instrument. It can't really directly talk to. I mean, it communicates with the mother and father if the mother and father are sensitive, but it's not really having a dialogue with someone else. It's not in the family. It doesn't have a range of movement. So when it is born, when it's in the womb, it's developing all the faculties that will allow it to do those things after the birth process. And so the outer body more refers to that. And we're in that stage. We're like in a womb. The womb is the Earth's atmosphere as a human being. And we're gestating within that atmosphere. And that atmosphere is not just the natural environment, but it's also the social environment, the community, the family. We're gestating within that. So, and through that gestation, we're also preparing our system, our elements of ourself for this more vibrational, um, this vibrational life that we're already into through our communications, through knowing things that we do. We're already in a vibrational state, and we're already moving around in that state. It's kind of like how the baby communicates with the mother. It can do it. The mother can feel it. And right now, we can move our vibrational body to other locations. We can even bilocate in a certain sense. It's just that in that bilocation, not that much of us moves. So the bulk still stays in one place, but there is a small percentage of the vibration that moves to another location, even multiple locations. And that will increase as we develop more ability to regulate the whole system. And that's what we're moving toward when I say that one of the utilizations of the light body is as a vehicle, but not necessarily for the earth plane, but for the plane that we're moving into. Like when the baby's in the womb, it's in a water environment. And then it moves into an air environment. And now we're developing the faculties that give us facility and utility in a vibrational environment. And we're already partially there.
And to continue with this metaphor of the fetus in the womb, what would you say is the umbilical cord, or where is our nourishment coming from to keep our growing fetus healthy as we go through this process?
Well, one aspect of that is from the earth. We nourish ourselves with water. The energy from the earth we take in through our bodies, through our acupuncture points. The sunlight nourishes us. It comes into our body and has various effects, including that it transmutes into actual usable energy within our system. It's not just like a kind of a metaphor that's light and energy. It enters into our system and transmutes into chemicals. Think like vitamin D as an example. Light enters the eyes and shifts into different kinds of chemicals. So that's one part. The other part is our chakras, particularly the root and crown, and these extensions I talked about, are tapping into higher levels of energy, and then bringing those levels of energy into our system, our vibrational body, which is our light body or outer body, and then through the chakra system, distributing those to our various organs. And that will become more and more. We are actually entering into a stage where our bodies are working more in a hybrid sense, especially if we're using these practices. And you're going to find that when you digest sunlight and you digest prana, air, that your desire, a lot of time, not all the time, for food will decrease, but you won't lose mass because you're transmuting and even converting pure energy into mass when you need it. So all this is going on. This is we're getting nourishment from different levels, and sometimes we're still getting it through food, which goes through kind of a combustion process. We eat food, breaks down, combines with oxygen at the cellular level, creates like kind of, like a tailpipe on a car, carbon monoxide. It's got to come out. The waste comes out. But when we're converting just energy to energy through our mechanism of energy utilization, there's no waste. It operates in a whole different way. And we're in a convertible stage of our development. So it's something to notice. Am I saying that you still won't overeat sometimes. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying sometimes you're going to notice that your desire for food and the types of foods that you desire oftentimes are going to change. Uh, so you might find, well, I used to really like that, and now I don't really like it, but I'm enjoying this other thing. Uh, it could be sometimes just like instead of like enjoying a beer, wow, pure water tastes so nourishing, and you'll prefer the water. Um, anyway, there's many examples of that.
Someone asked, how is air energy?
Air. Well, air goes into the system, and it promotes different activities like activity of the brain, activity of the organs, and air. You know, in the Ayurvedic belief, is not just air. It's just not like energy is just not energy. It's also information. But air is prana, and prana has other qualities like this kind of energy that I talked about that's coming to us from higher frequency dimensions and then coming into our system and distributing. So prana, I mean, there's many books and discourses about what is prana, but it's not just air, but it's, I wanted to say air because maybe people aren't so familiar with using the concept of prana. But when we breathe in, we're taking in this prana, and it has this higher vibration energy that distributes that. Also, there was research done by a Japanese man almost 50 years ago, and he identified what he called an invisible respiratory system and circulatory system. So he said when we breathe, that the prana is distributed similar to how blood circulates. Now, I don't remember the name of that book. It was actually published by a publisher called Japan Publications. So if you happen to get lucky and find it, it could be a very interesting book to read. But that's the part I remember. And I'm not saying that you should believe what I'm saying about it. I'm fairly sure that I read that correctly.
Somebody else had asked a little while ago, and actually, I apologize to those of you on the stream. I can't see the chats after a few seconds you write them, so I'm trying to remember the questions. They said after they do something like listening to you or doing a guided process, then the energy feels blocked again after. Like, how do they keep that going, that connection going? Again, I might have the question a little wrong, but I think it was along those lines.
I think that if you're noticing that it's blocked, it's already less blocked because you're noticing it. And then what happens is that you have a variety of practices that you can use either like in the way that you sit down and you work with something and exercise. But a lot of these things, once you develop them, and that's like where you have to have the willingness to engage, to enter in. Um, so once you do that, you can make these shifts in real time, many of them. That's what I have found to be very powerful. I stumbled into it many years ago when I was, working with all these ideas and chakras and meridians, etc. And I was having a discussion with my teenage daughter, and it wasn't going that well. It was friction. We were in friction with each other, and we could say that inner guidance, subconscious understanding, whatever it was, I went to my chakra system, particularly the fourth chakra, and particularly what I identify as the female fourth chakra, heart chakra. And I brought my vibration there. And then within minutes, less than minutes, our conversation started to go better. It was more harmonious. And we came to a place of understanding. And even though we still might have had a degree of disagreement, the feeling between us was much more relaxed. And of course, we love each other. And that now became present as well. So that was like the maiden voyage for me. And that's why I never forgot it, that we could do these things in real time. And since then, I've been working with those things in real time. So the first thing is you have to realize that there's something off. Something's not in harmony. Let's say you have anxiety. If you go into your chakra system, you'll find that your chakras are not synchronized, like front and back. That's an example. Like the speed of the front is different than the back, or like one of the front may be wobbling, the back may be kind of not able to really circulate. So if it's not circulating, it's not distributing energy and gathering energy. Those are just examples. So you can go in real time, or if you're in the middle of doing something, and you can adjust that once you understand how that works. The thing also is that I don't believe that these type of practices and techniques are out of the reach of any of us. They are possible for all of us to get. It just takes an initial commitment. It's just like if you want to play a musical instrument, first you have to put your hands on that instrument and then differentiate that this gives me this sound and this gives me that sound. And then, if I do these together, they create a sound together. And if I get these sounds together, suddenly they're a melody. And then if I put these melodies together, now I have a song. And you can go on from there. You have a symphony. So it's the same thing with this work. And believe me, the light body is a symphony. It's symphonic. And, the chakras, you could say maybe that's the string section. The kundalini channels, maybe that's the brass section. That's just, I'm just improvising here. The cranial rhythm is like the timpani. It's like the conductor. It's the beat behind. Especially if we're still physicalized like we are now as humans. So unless it's a miracle, as we understand miracles, if you want to play a musical instrument, these are the first things that you learn. And then you put them together. And if you're not willing to do that, it's most likely that you're not going to play that instrument. The ultimate instrument is our human body. It resonates. It vibrates together, all these different tonalities. And from that, if we are truly the conductor, we can lower some of the elements, like lower the strings, bring up the brass, all these kind of things we can do. And I'm saying to everyone that it's not extraordinary powers that allow you to do that. It's just your interest and your willingness to take some steps to get there. So do you think that we should call it a day? I mean, what should we do? Okay. So since I said I would do it while I'm talking, I thought, well, that's maybe not the best idea, but I will do it. I'm going to do two things. Before I go into this, because afterwards, I don't know, I may not feel like talking that much. I think as many of you know, we have a website and we have many materials that you can access. We offer them, without payment, and there's just a wealth of information. And a lot of our foundational things are in there. And if you want to accelerate your progress, we also have some things on there that do require payment. And that is just helping us to continue with having these kind of seminars, utilizing our time in this way. There's a lot of material though that does not require payment, and very valuable things about the outer body, about the chakras, about the cranial system, and it's all there on a podcast and some of the seminars. and other YouTube videos that are on this channel. So here's what we're going to do.
Can I say something first? Oh, yeah. And there's links to those resources in the video description. And also, if you'd like to help us out, please subscribe to the channel. If you're not already, to the YouTube channel, that would be really helpful.
That's great. Yeah, I forgot to say that. And I really love hearing from you. Not only your questions, but also your experiences, your observations. And I'm really encouraging all here to write them in, and let's have that discussion. Make this really interactive, and co-create the network so that we can bring these ideas into reality of what's going on in the world around us, and also, of course, the world that's within us. All right, so I'm going to do something that many of you know called parasympathetic breathing. You breathe in, and when you do that, you breathe in silently, and the silent breathing is part of the effect. And as you breathe in, you direct the air up to the back of your nose and then into the body. And you can visualize that stream. You can feel the stream going all the way. And then you use that stream of air to expand the lower part of the body like a balloon. So not just in the front, sides and back, thoracic region, sides and back. And I find that the upper thoracic, upper chest, and throat, it's like another area, and you can also feel it go into the head. So it's breathing in, expanding the balloons all the way up, breathing out, the air comes out from the body, back over the back of the nose, and you reverse. So you let the air out of the top part, the middle part, and the lower part, and then you do again. So I'll do a bunch of those. And then what I'm going to do, and this an understanding of meridians and acupuncture points really is not necessary, because in a way they interact with the physical body, not really in a pinpoint way, but more in an area. And that'll save you a lot of stress. Not like, oh, do I have it right? Is it wrong? It's not like that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just start and I'll guide this. And if you want, you can press down so you get more of like a guideline. So I can press like right here on the side of the leg and then a little bit up. Just press down like that. Now, right below the knee, on the outside, if you go like this, stomach 30, this is a point, an acupuncture point called stomach 36. It's like a whole body point. Even though it says stomach, it's a body point, and it's really a very important point for circulating energy and for endurance. So we're going to have that flow down, and you can just have it go down and then just kind of like wrap around to the inside of the leg. And then it's about the same distance up from the ankle bone, you have spleen 6 point. You have a spleen 6 point. And then we'll go up. If you want, you can press up. And then just like a circular, like a circuit, go back to the stomach and then the spleen. And we're going to try to do that on both sides. And eventually you'll feel like this numbing tingling sensation traveling down and traveling up. And if you like, you can stop sometimes and isolate these spleen points or these stomach points, because they're very important whole body circulation points. So can you get the blackboard on the left side? Mm-hmm. So it's like, here's your leg and your foot. I'm not going to try to do this. Okay. And so what we're doing is we're coming down the stomach meridian Yeah, you don't have to be too exact. And this is like on the outside. And here's the kneecap. So below the kneecap on the outside, you've got the stomach 36 point. It's just an area. Okay? Just an area here. If you press in, it's like a little indentation as well, but don't worry about it. All right. So that's on the outside. And then you just kind of randomly just turn it back to the inside. And we're coming up, and like right around in the groin, you can just take it back into the stomach. So we're creating kind of this circuit going down and coming back like that. And here we have the stomach 36 point, and here we have the spleen, spleen 6. So this kind of exercise, and I believe, did I put, no, I didn't. So right about here, spleen number 6. I'm really encouraging everyone not to get caught up in exactness of location. All right, so again, I'm going down the outside of the leg, and if you want, you can be aware of this point below the knee on the outside. Go down and just cross over somewhere in the foot, wherever you feel it. Wherever you feel it, don't have this preciseness. It'll go like, and then just wrap it around and then come back up on the inside of the leg. Wherever you notice it, could be more to the top, more to the middle, more to the back, doesn't matter. Just come up and then wrap back around like this. And that's what we're going to do. And then you could do, on your own time, you can do your arms like that. Come down the inside, back up the outside like that. And you may feel that connecting. This is like a preliminary, because ultimately, at some points, you will be directed, not necessarily by me, but by yourself, to feel this kind of movements in the arms and legs and have them, and you'll feel them just merge into the chakras and then flow out. So if you just start with the arms and the legs, that already is something that's going to give you an effect. And you can go into this, and we'll go into it deeper and deeper and deeper as we go along. Just a starting point. And don't try to do anything. It'll come to you. A lot of times also when you're trying to do something in this work and your heart, and it doesn't seem like you're fully getting to it, it's not happening. What you might not be noticing is that you're being directed to doing something else with the work. You may be like really trying to work with your chakra system and getting something that's working, but it's not coming that easy. And then you notice something like this, where what is really available is this flow of energy in your arms and legs. And then from there, that it's connecting the meridian, so to the chakras. We'll go into this more and more. I just want to give you a heads up, because it's very important not to push too hard to get one thing, because when you do that, you're probably missing something else. And that something else is really where you need to be for your development in that moment. I've been there and I've done that. And so whatever it is that you need to do, it's there. It's just a matter of whether you notice it or not. So when you do notice something that you haven't seen, you can just ask yourself briefly, what else am I not noticing? So could be interesting. All right, so we'll take a deep breath and breathe out. Let the air go up through the back of your nose, expand the lower part, middle part, upper part of the body. Slowly breathe out Reduce the upper, middle, lower. And let's do that again, breathing in and slowly breathing out. And each section, as it fills up, make it feel like a balloon. All sides expanding, breathing in and breathing out. Sometimes it's good just to concentrate on the back expanding or the sides expanding. You can sit in a chair if you like, and lay down if you like. And now we'll bring our we'll bring our attention to the hip structure, the outside of the leg, and then follow that down on the outside of the leg. It's like an area or a line that's moving downward on the outside of the leg. When you're really connecting the mind to this meridian flow or energy flow, you're going to feel a sensation there. It's either like a tingling or numbness. It might be heat, cold, but you will feel that there's a distinction of that line or area from the rest of the body. It's going to kind of stick out, be more pronounced. So follow past the knee and down the outside of the lower part of the leg. As soon as you pass the kneecap, you may feel that stomach 36 point. You can stop there, let that one grow in sensation, penetrate deep into the body, and then continue moving down. The top of the foot on the outside, then just wrap around to the inside through the instep, past the ankle bone, and then we start to travel upward. If you like, stop at that spleen 6 point. Let the sensation grow as you connect deeper with your mind. When you connect and you get the sensation that I talked about, this is when your mind starts to have a say in the matter. When you are getting the ability to regulate energy. So you can travel up on the inside of the calf, lower leg, and then come up the thigh area on the inner leg to the groin, and then flow back around to the outside. And this time, see if you can move down with both sides. Both sides. And again, if you have a hard time establishing this sensation, just press on the outside of the leg, either with your palm or your fingers. Pass through the knee. Stop at the stomach 36 on both sides. So short distance below the knee on the outside. Travel down, past the ankle bone, and then wrap around to the inside, back up through the instep. And now we'll bring our attention to the inside of the calf, lower leg, and stop at spleen 6. Activate it, increase the sensation there. Follow further up. Knee through the inside of the thighs, and then wrap around again. Down the outside. The inside. Wrap around, go down the outside. And then up the inside. Where you wrap around doesn't really matter. Wherever you feel it, wherever your attention goes. Don't fight with being too exact. The inside. Go at a pace where you can feel each area, like as you're going down the thigh on the outside, like in small amounts till you get to the knee. But make sure that every area along, as you go down, has the sensation. Around the knee, down the lower leg, back up on the inside. You may notice that as you go through this, the sensation gets more intense, more distributed, and it penetrates into the body. When you feel that, this also gives this parasympathetic effect, and it tones down the hypersympathetic effect. So your body goes more into regeneration mode, circulation becomes easier. You'll feel that you get releases in the breathing. And you can utilize this kind of practice as something to feel good, because it does feel good. And there's a lot of things that we do to feel good, and this can be one of them. And this one is one that has a positive effect on our body. Regenerative, energy building, connecting, perception of connectedness, not only to the outside, but also on the inside. As we connect, we enter a state of connectedness. State of wholeness. You may feel your attention shift to the whole body, to this outer body layers. Beyond the skin surface, you may feel the sensation of the area outside the skin becoming, in a way, more dense, more plasmic. And you may feel the sensation of that outer body on your skin surface. It not only presses on the skin surface, but it penetrates into the body. And you may notice that. So you trigger this series of perceptions. Back to the breathing, deep breath in and breathing out. And breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Let your eyes open slowly without focus. And even when the eyes are open without focus, you can still feel those meridians down the outside of the leg, up the inside, the points, stomach 36 point, spleen 6 point. Go back to clear focus, still connecting. It's interesting how you can see the objects and colors in the room, but you can also simultaneously feel your body, feel these meridians and points, feel this plasmic sensation around you. And this is an altered state. All right, so you could continue with that as much as you like, and you can do the same thing on the arms. And you may notice that if you're doing chakra work or outer body work or anything, you may notice that randomly that just appears. And if it appears like that, it's like your inner nature, your inner self is trying to bring your attention there. So it's saying, hey, work with me. So I really recommend it most of the time. Unless you're having a real great time doing something else that can, also occur with this work, then you could say, okay, well, I'm not going to go there now. But a lot of times that's the place where you're going to get the biggest effect with the least amount of effort. So we have any comments or anything? Come on, everybody, let's jump in, say something. I'll have something to drink. What did you notice about this meridian exercise? Anyone? Could you feel it?
It said the plasma quality and perception.
Okay. Somatic-based, sensation-based somatic meditation. Robert said that? We don't know which Robert. We are getting some comments now. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah,
I don't want to talk all the time anymore.
Levenrecht said, a fine tingling, first in, later outside my body. And Dawn Way said, peaceful.
Okay, cool. Peaceful works. I always like feeling peaceful.
I mean, it was interesting for me to just do something very brief like that. We just worked with a little bit of the system.
Would you rather have gone longer with that?
Oh, I always enjoy to really get into it, but I still felt effects for sure.
I think it's really important to understand when we're in a format like this, some of the things may be more condensed. And, if I'm doing this on my own and that really starts to take off like it does sometimes, I'll just go with it. The next thing I know, much longer amount of time, when I go back in to noticing time, I realize a much greater amount of time has gone by.
Micheline wrote, I felt the meridians, then consciousness expanded into a wide, calm, neutral place. And this is Adva from the Shiatsu school said, can this be accessible after the live presentation?
Yes.
Yes, Adva, this video will be available.
Okay.
And Kidney said, thanks to you both.
All right, so I think we've covered everything for today anyway. It's an ongoing cumulative event. We're going to do it more often, and especially since this is the time. This is the time of convergence, where all of these forces of transformation are coming together. If we have, let's say, like a hurricane, a storm, before that storm actually occurs, there are changes in many factors: the pressure, the humidity, or moisture, the heat, temperature, and all those factors slowly congeal. And when they hit a certain point of synergy, then this event takes place. And we are at that point. And this is what is the truth for me. I don't want to try to get anyone to believe something that they don't believe. So check in with yourself to see if it has also truth for you. Again, nothing that I say in these sessions are trying to get someone to believe something. But I do make a commitment, as people know, to only speak things that are true for me. And that's really important, not only for me, but for this network, which is not me. It is a higher consciousness network that we're being influenced by, or we're tapping into, we're creating, co-creating. And so I think that these are important things to take with us, that we're in that time right now where these factors are ready to create this event. And for the whole preparation for further development, and also for how we can utilize this, and we will need to utilize this to maintain our changing homeostasis. That's also evolving. What is the meaning of homeostasis? So I wish you all a great time. I wish you all a great day, week, and hopefully, I mean, not hopefully, we will be on the live stream soon. Yeah. Probably next Friday.